G'day everybody. Well, for our next bit of our small engine fun, we've got this Briggs and Stratton lawnmower engine. It's a very similar make to the Honda G65 engine, which I did up earlier on. It is a side valve. And we're going to clean it up and see if we can get this thing to run. It came on an old lawnmower I picked off a building site. It was upside down and half buried in scrap metal. So I had to very carefully and quietly, as in complete crash, middle of the night, very carefully get it out and carry it home, since the wheels were all smashed up on it, so I couldn't actually wheel it home, unfortunately. But we're going to pull it apart and clean it up and just see if it runs alright. It's got good compression. I don't know if there's any spark yet, even though that's not really on properly. There's virtually no oil in the sump whatsoever, so that might be a bit of a problem. But other than that, everything's on it. You got the throttle and everything, the primer, fuel tank, air filter, which is going to have to be replaced because that's, as you can see, it's puking its oil up at the moment. That might be something to do with it being upside down, but everything else is all right on it. It still turns over. The bearings aren't noisy, despite the fact that they've kind of rooted the blade on it. As in, that's not even what you'd class as a blade tip anymore, nor is that one, which is even worse. I'm even still trying to work out what they're actually going over to do that much damage to the bloody blade on it. But anyway, we're going to clean it up, do a full overhaul on it and see if we can get it to work or not. Well, there's the air filter off, which is actually turned into a giant oil sponge, as I shall now demonstrate. Yeah, that's nasty. Oh, there's a lot of oil in there as well. Oh, Christ, it's gone everywhere now. Whoops. Oh, well. Yeah. I think what's actually happened is the oil in the sumps worked its way up through the carby, so it's definitely going to need cleaning out. Hope there's none in the fuel tank, but yucky, yucky. That's nasty stuff. Oh, well. That's what happens when you become a mechanic. You get oil and shit all over your hands. It is normal. But there's a lot of grass and stuff in it. That's the old gasket, presumably. That's what I meant to say. The rest of the casing and everything's completely fine. I might even just shove a bit of soap sponge in it. If I can get that plastic. Oh yeah, I can get that out. I might just cut a bit of soap sponge into that shape and that can go in the incinerator. That's far too nasty to be used again. Oh yeah, the oil's gone through the carby. It's horrid in there. Absolutely disgusting. Yeah, through the carby and all over it as well, so that's definitely going to need cleaning up, soaking in more petrol. You have to buy some more, but anyway. So get the fuel tank off next, I think. Oh, well, there's our fuel tank off, which now resembles a carpet actually. There's a lot of shit built up on that, especially up the top here. It's grass shavings and stuff. Unfortunately, the oil that's been coming out of the carby has actually been absorbed into a lot of this and formed some horrid looking turds, let's just call them. I'm just going to soak all that in kerosene later on and set fire to it. I've got no other way of getting rid of it. But, carby does come off. I've taken the bolts off and it's a little bit of dirt and stuff inside. I'm going to have to clean that up. It's yeah, I think I might just soak that completely in petrol and just see if I can get some of the rubbish off of it. Of course, I'll give it a rub over first before I put it in. But, yeah, the fuel tank's also got particles inside it. There's particles down in there. All up here is covered in that horrid crap. And there's also a bird's nest up inside there as well. This thing has not been looked after at all. Very neglected. As, yeah. Onwards and upwards. I'll get the this blower cowling off and just see if that's also got a bird's nest up inside it as well. Oh, well, it's looking much better. Nice and clean now. No more carpet. Yeah, I am kind of plugged in at the moment, charging at the same time as I'm recording. Dirty. Dirty. Very dirty. Stupendously dirty. It's horrid stuff. Quite literally, I was scooping turds out of the carby. I've still got more to go. It's just horrid stuff. It's probably the worst engine I've worked on so far, and that's saying something. I've had some pretty bad ones before. But that's come up real nice actually, I'm very pleased with that. Now I can clean the carby up and put it all back together. I got the cover off, and apart from being very greasy, it's not too bad in here. There's not a lot of grass built up. I did remove the bird's nest, which is now on the rubbish pile to be incinerated. It's just a fuel tank moving around a bit. Yeah, I'm just gonna take all of this off and just very carefully clean up in here. Take that, presumably that's the fuel hose. I'll take that off, clean that. Yeah, the coil's not sticking, which is a good thing. It still moves freely. You can definitely hear it's drawing vapor into the chamber, except I won't actually ignite because spark plug's not connected and there's no fuel supply, so there's no risk of that. But anyway, it's the vanes are alright. They can just have a blast over with some degreaser just to clean them up, and we should be right to go. Well, got all that back together. It's I can't really clean in between the cooling fins, but I got the intake pipe all done and also the coils all cleaned up. It's working alright now. Also got the spark plug out. We got good spark from that, so I don't need to replace that, nor the coil, which is good. But it's very oily down in the cylinder bore. I can turn it over easier now because it's not in there, but yeah, very oily, very nasty. So I may have to put a bit of degreaser down it just to clean it out and just pour it back out again. If not, it'll be a very smoky startup if this thing does live, which I'm kind of hope it does. If not, well, I'll just completely disassemble it for our spare parts, because Briggs parts are actually worth a fair bit of money if they're in pretty good nick at least. But, anyway, I'll get the blower cowling back on and put the fuel tank back on and connect it all up. Okay, there's the carby all cleaned up and ready to go back on. I did manage to get a lot of those turds out of the inside of it, and also down the inlet chamber. It's all nice and clean and working well now, so that can go back on. Also cleaned up the original gaskets since they're good to be used again, and the O-ring which goes in the end here, if I can get it in. That'll just go on like that, and then this goes on the top of the fuel tank, then the whole lot can go back onto the side of the engine. So that's the next thing to do is put this on. I've got all that cleaned up and the bell back on. The or not bell, sorry, the blower cowling. But yeah, that just goes on like that. Then I connect up the linkages and things and should be good to go. Okay, there's the carby and fuel tank back on. And I've noticed something about the linkage mechanism on this. I actually think this might be a self-governing carby, because I'm not sure if you saw when I had the blower housing off, but there's a plastic fin which extended out to where the discharge will be, because it draws air in through here and then blows it out, cooling the cylinder and everything. But in the way of that, there was actually this plastic fin, which is what that's attached to. And what I think happens is when it's running, air's drawn in and actually pushes on this as it's exiting to the cylinder. It must push on this and either open or close the butterfly valve to govern the amount of fuel vapor that's actually going to the cylinder. Not 100% sure on that one, but that looks pretty much what it could possibly be for. But anyway, it's all on. I did end up managed to get the air filter housing all cleaned up, and the sponge for it, which is sitting there. And that's all ready to go back on. I ended up just cleaning the sponge in a bit of petrol. I just soaked it and then wrung it out, and that got rid of all of the oil and other nasties that were in it. But that's all ready to go back on. Well, we're all back together and looking much cleaner. Very nice. Very pleased with the outcome of that. I'll stick some fuel in the tank and give it a test run. It's come up nicely. A lot of that dirt was just cosmetic, so it was easy enough to get off. Not really going to bother about it now because it's just going to get nasty again anyway when I stick it back on the mower. I did manage to get the wheels and everything corrected on the mower as well, so it should be ready to put back on.